Hello and welcome to Sam Not So Wise. My name is Sam, and today I have a very special guest, Mr. Seanin from Seanin's Shelf. How are you?
I'm doing great, Sam. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm all good. It's been a lazy Sunday, which I like. I believe you've been quite busy today.
I had something going on, but the rest of the day is pretty open, which is nice. So,
Good. Yeah, so today's job is to talk about basically how our journey's been going on Booktube as brand new little baby channels. I haven't ever seen anyone do this, so I thought I'm going to be super original and do a video like this where we talk about how it's going. And probably no one will watch it, so that's fun.
there'll
But
be at least 2 views or something. Yeah.
hey, yeah, my brother and your brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife doesn't watch my videos, so that's
Yeah.
one
My
view
wife's
I'm
hit
not
or
getting.
miss. But and I can tell when I check my analytics, it's like 100% watch rate from males. And I'm like, I'm sure my wife. I don't know if my wife's actually watching when she says she is.
I've not gotten into the analytics yet because, firstly, I'm rubbish at computers, and but also I don't know. I just don't get enough views to really think that I need to check out where my viewers are.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
my wife, she basically she cheats. She clicks my video on and puts it on mute, so I get a view. Yay! What a supportive woman. But I appreciate it. But
Yeah.
the one time I have looked in my analytics, it said Iceland and watch hours 0 or something, or like 0.1 or something. So
Yeah.
you're not really, maybe not even helping Helga. I don't know. But anyway, we have a few questions to ask each other and answer ourselves. So we might as well get going. Do you want to go first, or shall I
uh, I can start us off with one.
go?
So, what is your favorite book? Because you mentioned a couple times when you mentioned before we press record that you're a big Wheel of Time fan, and I guess I was curious if your favorite book would be part of the Wheel of Time series or located elsewhere.
It's not from Wheel of Time. It's kind of technically a sci-fi, and I have briefly mentioned that it's my favorite book, and it is 1984
You have mentioned that, yeah.
by George Orwell. Yeah, I read this when I was like 14 or 15. My brother lent it to me, my older brother, who's a big influence on a lot of things in my life. And he was like, you need to read this. And I read it, and I was like super gripped throughout. And then the ending was just like, what the fuck? And that's the book I've reread the most, and it still just hits hard every time. So I love it.
That's fair enough. I've actually not. It's required, I think, in most high schools in the United States, and so I have read it, but it's been since high school, and I remember the general premise, but I'm definitely due for a reread, to be honest. So.
I'm kind of surprised it's like used a lot in high schools because I thought it was kind of fairly banned.
It depends on the school district, and
Sure.
there are a lot of those. Bannings have kind of gotten out of hand in lots
Yeah.
of parts of the country, but I think there have been statewide bans for certain books. I'm not sure about 1984. It has been about 10 years since I've been in high school, and I don't bannings weren't as big of a thing, honestly,
Right.
just 10 years ago. So I think I was a junior in high school, so I was probably 16 or so when I had to read it, and I don't remember if I liked it or hated it. I just remembered I read it, and so because
Yeah.
I had to.
I mean, it's pretty short. It's and
Yeah.
I would highly recommend it. What's your favorite book? I don't actually know this.
I've been thinking about doing like my own top 10 or something to just try to get my thoughts on paper because I'm not 100% confident what my favorite book is. But the first thing that comes to mind would be something like The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky, because I really love that book. And I'm honestly probably should reread it. I didn't bring it with me. I don't have it. I have a very limited supply of books here with
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
But it's such a interesting story. I like Dostoevsky for his like work on pretty much his psychological like the obvious psychology that is distinct for every character. It's not like he's made all the characters the same or just surface level differences. They're all pretty distinct, and I always thought it helped me get into the story. But just the fact that the two main characters, or the two characters I like the most, Alyosha and Ivan, are I kind of identify with both of them in many ways. But there are things that I don't like about them, or things I recognize in myself that I don't want to, or something like that. So it just makes me think, makes me be more mindful about it. So it's a book I appreciate greatly.
Yeah, I mean, Dostoevsky is one of those authors that I'm just like intimidated by. So I haven't read anything.
That's fair. I mean, I would recommend him, of course, but I don't think personally, although Brothers Karamazov is my favorite by him, I would not recommend it as a starting place for him. But
okay. Yeah, it's one of those authors. I'm not going to go seeking him out, but if I find him in like a nice secondhand bookshop, then I'll pick him up. I think that's the plan now. Fair enough. All right, I'll ask a question, shall I? So, is there a video you've made that is your favorite or that you're most proud of since you started your channel?
So I'm not 100% sure in many ways, just because I mentioned before we started recording, actually, that I tend to ramble. And so I guess a video that I didn't have to delete as much rambling from is good. But besides that, because that's kind of hit or miss, some videos I hardly have to like cut back on any of it. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm just scrap the whole thing. We're starting over or whatever.
Oh, yes, I've done that. Yeah.
And then that's a little frustrating. But then I guess I'm more proud when I don't do that. But as far as the content itself, I kind of enjoyed my What is Myth anyway pretty much video, and that in many ways was because that book was really hard. That was a hard book to read, and so I was happy that I grasped it enough that I felt like I grasped it enough. Maybe the author would tell me I'm an idiot, but I feel like I grasped it enough to be able to put it into video format and explain it pretty in a relatively straightforward way. So I guess I would choose that one.
That's fair. Yeah. I think for me, it's one of two. One is the Wheel of Time video, just because that's my baby. So I was quite nervous about it. I think that's one that I had to like just completely delete and start again. So I'm happy that I was happy with the second run, but also it's the one with the most views. And I know that doesn't mean anything, but it is kind of fun to see it be like, how the fuck have I got that many views? Like, yeah. So it was quite surprising. And then the other one that's my favorite, which is one of my least viewed videos, is the one about dystopian and post-apocalyptic fiction, because I put a bit of work into that, so I was quite happy with it. So yeah, probably those two.
Yeah, that's fair. I think those are, honestly, I haven't watched a video of yours I dislike, and I've watched literally every single one of your videos so far.
Oh, bless you. That's so sweet. You go.
Okay. And this one's kind of related to the first one, but I was just wondering, like, almost if you have a favorite non-fiction book, or at least that isn't like fantasy, sci-fi. 1984, I feel like kind of fits that, but is there something that's perhaps more boring that people consider?
More boring?
Well, that's what non-fiction is supposed to be, right? It's boring.
I mean, so non-fiction or non-genre fiction?
Either or, because I think 1984 kind of fits. It could fit. I don't know. That's a good question. Now I don't know what I'm asking. Well, do you read enough nonfiction to feel like you could answer it for that?
I barely read any, to be honest. Let me just have a little cheat.
Like, and I'll pull out my 7th grade textbook for history class, because that's the only thing I read or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I probably read like 2 or 3 a year.
Fair.
I just kind of squeeze them in. I can tell you what it's not. It's Geology, A Complete Introduction. My God, was that dull. Woo! Oh, okay. My favorite nonfiction book is This Is Going to Hurt, Secret Diaries of a Junior Doctor by Adam Kay. It was kind of really popular in the UK some
Okay.
time ago, and it's about this doctor who it's his diary entries, his literal diary entries from when he was learning the profession, learning medicine. So it's got a lot of stories of A&E and being a general practitioner, and then training to become a more specialized doctor. And it's absolutely hilarious and really bloody depressing at the same time. I read that in a day. It was just like it was so good, like deep but funny. And I read it in 2020 during the pandemic, when I don't know if you know this, but in the UK we had this applaud the NHS day every Thursday at 8 o'clock or something. Everyone would stand outside their house and applaud the NHS for the great job they're doing. And it felt like a dystopia. It was really weird. But at that time I was just like, yes, NHS, health professionals, they're so good. And having read this book and knowing the shit they have to go through, it was actually really cutting and deep. I really like that.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of that, but it does sound interesting. It sounds worthwhile, especially if it's a page turner, which is often not the case with nonfiction.
No. So, I mean, it is quite British centric in a way that it's written by about the British system, healthcare system.
Yeah, that's fair.
And you? I guess you read a fair amount of nonfiction.
I do. I actually realized when I was recording a video the other day, I'm like, this is like my third nonfiction video in a row. Maybe I need to cool it down or something. But I don't know. There are several that I've read this year that have been nonfiction that I have really enjoyed. It's kind of odd because I didn't read hardly at all last year. And so lots of the nonfiction I've read, it's been either this year and it's really on my mind still, or it's been a few years and I don't know if I remember enough to give a proper answer for that. But I would perhaps say The Meaning of the Creative Act, which I had a video come out relatively recently on, and I have it here actually, by Nikolai Berdyaev. And it's got those theological as well as philosophical tints, which is kind of typical for some philosophers. And I didn't read it necessarily for the theology. I'm not a Russian Orthodox, but his thoughts on, I have a friend that is actually, it's not common at all in the United States. So that was odd. The odds of meeting a friend that was Russian Orthodox was kind of relatively slim. I don't know if I've ever met a Russian Orthodox person in the United States living here my whole life. But besides him, but talking about creativity in many different facets is something that definitely interests me. Whether it's literature or painting, but also philosophy. He thinks philosophy can be creative, or sexuality and all this stuff. So it was very, very interesting, and that's pretty much what I hope to get out of when I read nonfiction. So
nice. Sounds good. Sounds difficult.
It was relatively difficult.
All right. Next question. What did I ask last? Oh yeah. So, your favorite book since you've started? What is your favorite book since you started the Booktube channel? It can be a repeat answer.
Well, I did really like The Meaning of the Creative Act, and I was like, well, maybe I should do one of those plugs, and you can put it on your thumbnail, and it gets lots of views, and I'll say The Rhythm of War. But I'm not gonna say.
I was gonna say Rhythm of War.
But I'm almost done with The Rhythm of War, actually, and it's not what I want to say though. It's not bad, but it's not blowing my mind or anything.
Yeah.
I read a lot of good books this year, but the channel has been recent, so I'm trying to think of I almost want to say what I finished last night, and I haven't made a video on it yet, but it's The Night by Gene Wolfe.
Ooh. Okay.
And I've never read Gene Wolfe before, but I really enjoyed this book. And I heard it's a bit different than lots of his other stuff, because I was going to read the Book of the New Sun.
Yeah, I'm desperate to read that.
And I think I might expedite it, put it towards the top of my list now, because I really enjoyed this. And this is more kind of mythological in many ways. And the narrator is someone who's it's a bit odd. I think that might be a Gene Wolfe thing. Like he's not super reliable in many ways.
That's apparently like a huge part of Book of the New Sun is you can't trust the narrator. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was just, I don't know, it was fun. I actually like to read folk tales and folklore and stuff like that. And I was getting into this and it was like, it reminded me of that. And like sometimes people were like, oh, in the introduction, like this is his story fully embedded in myth. And I'm like, okay, whatever, I read it and I don't feel that way at all. But like as I was reading this, I was like, this reminds me of reading Irish folk tales and Scottish folk tales and stuff like that. Except it has some weird elements because he talks about America a little bit and, you know, American football and some of these other things that obviously as an American, you know, but he's like embedded in this fantasy world. He's like a American kid that accidentally goes to Midgarter, essentially. Like, you know, it's just, it was super interesting. It felt like a folktale, but it didn't feel as dated. But it still had the same like ambiance, I guess I could say. So I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, honestly.
Nice. I'm jealous. I need to read some Wolf. I think my answer is pretty obvious to anybody who's watched any of my videos, and it is The Shadow of the Gods. It's up there somewhere, by John Gwynne, and I'm reading Hunger of the Gods right now, the follow-up, which is also awesome. That's probably my favorite, but I was kind of really happily surprised by the first 15 Lives of Harry August by Claire North, which was just like, I don't know. I thought I would like it, but I didn't realize I'd like it that much because the concept is kind of like fairly common, but I thought it was excellently done. So bravo, Claire North. That'll probably be in my top 10 of the year. Yeah. Hit me with a question.
Yes, sir. Oh, my phone. Okay. Are you, I mean, I do have the question, are you the only booktuber in Iceland? Which is a really quick one. And it's not a question for me, though.
Yeah, okay. I don't know.
You don't know?
Probably. I've not seen any others. There's no people in Iceland, so it could be quite easy to be the only person in Iceland on Booktube. But I don't know. Booktube is like growing exponentially, so it could easily be another channel. I'm pretty sure I'm the only Brit in Iceland with a Booktube channel.
Yeah, that's kind of hard shoes to fill, I think. You're fitting that niche right where it's needed.
Yes.
Fair enough. I'm not the only booktuber in the United States for all those interests.
Are you not? Oh
I know, it's weird, right? I'm just the most important one.
Yes.
But I'll go on to the next question if you're okay with that. Sorry, since that one was pretty straightforward. But are you planning to do like read-alongs or readathons?
You mean that like I'm organizing?
Either or, because I know some channels like don't even participate. I haven't participated in anything yet, but I mean our channels are pretty new and stuff.
Yeah, I mean I'd like to. If anybody like wants me to join one, then I would be super happy to do that, because like I've said before, like the reason I started this channel was to have discussion videos or whatever on a book series or just general stuff. So I'd love to be involved with one, but I'm not like, I haven't planned anything yet. I'm doing like an unofficial read along with
cut out or something. I don't know.
Did it? Classic Booktube newbies tech fuck up. Let's continue. We were talking about read-alongs. Yes, I am reading along the Bloodsworn saga, as I've talked about. The brothers Gwyn have a read-along on their Discord, so I'm kind of following that in a way. But it's not like a super organized thing between YouTubers or anything. They're just like hosting a read-along. But no, I would love to do read-alongs, but someone needs to invite me, because I'm probably not going to start one myself because nobody knows me. But I do actually have some news kind of related to that, which is I'm going to be in a discussion video about the last book in the series, hosted by Philip Chase.
Oh, okay.
Do you know him?
Yeah, I'm actually subscribed to him. I don't catch every video, but yeah.
Dr. Fantasy himself, he's hosting a chat on that book. It's him, it's Mike's book reviews, Patrick Leo, the brothers Gwyn, and the actual author of the book is coming along as well. So
Oh, wow.
I'm super excited for that. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
I'm really lucky because like I met Philip. He came to Iceland and I showed him around Iceland, and he kind of dangled this chat as a carrot for me to like start the channel. So yeah, and he's lived up to his promise. So I'm very lucky.
Yeah, that's awesome. Actually, it was him. I watch your like every single one of your videos, and I'm subscribed to Philip Chase, and I don't catch all of his videos, but it was him sharing your channel when you first made your first video. I saw and went and subscribed, and now I haven't left. You haven't scared me away yet, at least. But yeah, that sounds awesome. I recognized all those names of people that you mentioned, so I mean, it sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. I mean, I'm currently reading. Yeah, it's kind of like a buddy read, but there's 4 of us. The Knight, but the second part of that is The Wizard, which we'll be reading next month. And I don't know if I'm not allowed to invite people, but I feel like you could join us if you wanted to.
Maybe it's a bit late now.
Well, I mean, I've already finished it, but I mean, hey, there's still, half of October left. you got time, assuming you can get books fast enough to Iceland. I don't know.
Well, I'll just get it on Kindle or something. But now I'm already like full to the brim of reading.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
So invite me to the next one, and I'll happily put it in the schedule.
Fair enough. I'm hoping to do more like stuff like that with my brother and whatnot, because he's a big sword and sorcery fantasy sci-fi guy. He reads more of that than I do. I like to read that stuff, but I don't read it. I'm not super well read in it because I read a lot of nonfiction and stuff as well. So it takes some time away from just being completely devoted to those things. But I am kind of planning to do some sort of read along next year over the course of the whole year. Like 1 book a month, all books by Mark Twain.
Wow. Okay.
And that's partially because one of my favorite books of all time is The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the American novel in my opinion, and you're not an American, so I mean you might not be as interested. But that's something I'm actually hoping to do, and I have pretty much 12 books set up for 1 for each month.
Nice.
Chronological, not everything, because he wrote a lot more than 12 books, of course, but and then
maybe,
even if people just go ahead, sorry.
Maybe I dip in when I have time to read a Mark Twain book or something.
Yeah, fair enough. That's like my hope of doing it over the course of the years. Some people might be like, oh, I want to read Huck Finn, so when they do Huck Finn, I'll join in, or I'll join in when I have time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But because
Cool.
the first 2 months are just going to be like semi-biographical ones that aren't like, they're more like treks. He does that a lot, where he's like takes a stagecoach over the Rocky Mountains and he writes a book about it. Or it's mostly based on his own trip, but there's some fictional stuff thrown in there. And so there's gonna be a couple of those, but then Huck Finn, Tom Sawyer, Connecticut Yankee, and King Arthur's Court. That's English. That's an English story, right?
I really want to read that one. I'll definitely join for that one.
Yeah, I don't remember what month that is, but that's
just let me know sometime.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be making videos about it and stuff. It's just I loved Huck Finn. I've read Tom Sawyer, but those are really the only 2 that I've read from Mark Twain. And I'm like, I need to read more Mark Twain, so I'm just gonna do that this next year. So.
Excellent. And you're doing that with your brother, right?
I'm
not doing that with your brother.
I'm doing it by myself as of now. I'm gonna try to convince him to do it with me most of the way, but I don't know if he's as interested in Mark Twain as I am.
So. What's your brother's channel's name again?
Liam's Lyceum.
That's it. I need to find that.
Yeah, he's done a video with Philip Chase before as well.
Right. Okay.
I think they talked about Beowulf and all this other old English stuff. Yeah, my brother can read and speak Old English like pretty well. Him and Philip are a lot of similar interests. So that's mostly why I know about Philip Chase's channel.
Nice. Cool. All right. Next question. Let's plow on. I think we're getting quite we've been talking quite a while, so I might actually skip. Nah, let's not skip it.
Okay.
How has your journey so far lived up to your expectations?
I think it's been pretty much met so far. I mean, my channel is not big. I'm not like, I didn't expect it to be big, but I have had a few people, even if mostly other booktubers, that consistently watch my video and leave videos, sorry, and not just one, and leave comments like Sam, and there's a couple other guys out there, and that's mostly what I've been looking for. I don't need my channel to be big. I mean, it'd be nice if eventually there's, you know, continuous growth, nothing like extreme, but that would be nice. But pretty much for now, it's been what I could hope for. So what I was hoping
Yeah,
for.
same here, really. Like, I definitely don't expect to ever have large numbers, like not talking about what I'm talking about. And in the way I talk about it, like, I'm not going to be flashy or clickbaity or whatever. So yeah, that's fair. But I have actually had more views and engagement than I expected. It's like, I'm really happy with people commenting on my video and having some chats. So I'm really happy with how it's going.
Yeah, I think your channel is doing well. I mean, as far as we both started the same day, and you have over 100 subscribers. I don't remember. What are you sitting at? I don't know.
160.
Okay, so you're about 100 more subscribers than I am, and we started the same day. So your channel's is like, suck it, loser. But, like, I'm content with what I've gotten so far, and your channel is, I think, doing pretty well. I would say, you know, it's probably bound to be greater and greater, you know, as time goes on. So
it's only a few months till 1 million. I can't wait.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Remember me when you're famous.
Hit me with a question.
Okay. So we kind of talked about like favorite thing we've read since we started the channel, but I was curious about maybe a favorite author that you've been introduced to this year, just in general.
No comment.
Okay.
No, to be honest, I don't like. I had a little look through my Goodreads, and I don't think I've really read many new authors this year. I've kind of been like ticking off the list of things that I've needed to read or finish. I mean, one of them is a big one, has been Brandon Sanderson. So
Yeah.
like, it's not exactly new to me or to anyone else. And John Gwynne, Ian Banks, who I always talk about, Stephen King, the June stuff. I've read a lot of June. So there's not been a whole lot that's new. So it probably have to be the first 15 Lives of Harry August again, and Claire North. Like, I really enjoyed that. So I think I need to find more of her books and read more of her. That's probably affected me the most. That's a new author.
That's fair. There's always too much to read, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and I guess for me, it would probably be Gene Wolfe. I already talked about The Night, but I've only read the one book by him, but that was so good. I'm definitely reading more Gene Wolfe. There's been a couple of other authors. This has been a kind of a reviving my reading year, so I've read several new authors, but Scott Oden is one that I don't know if you know about him.
Scott, how do you spell that surname?
I think it's Oden, if I remember correctly. Okay. Maybe it might be Ian. I mean, that's it's, you know,
what a name.
I'm misremembering. Yeah, it's a great name. And he wrote some like progression fantasy that I've never read before, and I don't know if it's my favorite, but it was still enjoyable. It helped me kind of get back into reading, especially reading some more fantasy. And I haven't finished. He had the Grimnir saga. It's a trilogy. The Gathering of Ravens, Twilight of the Gods, and the Doom of Odin, and I have not read the Doom of Odin yet, but
Doom of Odin.
Yeah, it's about himself. I hope it's autobiographical. But
nice. I'll add that to the humongous TBR. Lovely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Right. Next question. Any videos? I don't think I mentioned this to you before. Any videos you're excited to make?
I think
Gene Wolfe.
I am excited to talk more about Gene Wolfe. I mean, I might talk about Sanderson when I'm finished with The Rhythm of War, at least, as well. I'm a little worried that people are going to see that and they're going to think this is what my channel is all about. And I'm probably not going to talk about Sanderson much more beyond this video, so I don't know. But yeah, mostly that stuff. I'm trying to think if there's like, no, I think those are probably the ones I'm most excited for currently, except for the Mark Twain stuff, getting into that. Fair. But yeah.
I look forward to both of those already. For me, well, I mean, obviously, I'm really looking forward to that chat about the Fury of the Gods. I mean, I'm not making it, but I'm involved in it. And I think Philip wants me to be his like Icelandic expert because there's a lot of Icelandic written in this book. So hopefully I can wow them with my Íslensku. But apart from that, I don't know. I've got quite a lot of ideas of stuff. I like to have those kind of general. Oh shit! More tech problems.
Yeah, cut that out. Yeah.
I think it's funny to have it in. Fuck it. That's what my channel's like. Yeah, I've got a lot of general chats. I'm going to make another top 10 at some point because, you know, that's what YouTube's about. So yeah, probably just the chat.
Very much. And I'll be watching that, I'm sure. And I'll watch any top 10s you make. I might make a top 10 at some point. I don't know. My thoughts aren't organized enough. So
do you have any more questions for me? I've got one more.
Yeah, so I was curious how long you've been watching Booktube, like mostly for how long were you watching before you actually decided to take the plunge yourself?
I have an awful memory. So I can't remember exactly, but I feel like I've been watching it since 2019.
Okay.
So a long time, long old time. A lot of these channels that I watch and they talk about like, oh, I remember when I did this video and it was awful and la la la. I'm like, yeah, I remember that. Great, shut up. So yeah, a long old time. How about you?
Good. Yeah, I've probably like 2 years I've been loosely watching, but I never commented on anybody's channel unless it was my brother's and stuff like that. So part of me feels like I'm a poser. I'm not actually part of the community. I just decided to, you know, join it for the funds and, you know, stuff like that. Shits and giggles, as they say. But yeah, it's been fun. So
nice. Do you have a favorite booktuber?
You know,
you can't say your brother.
Ah, damn it. But no, I was kidding. I hardly even like that guy anyway. No, but you know, like since I've made my channel, and that hasn't been for very long at all, I've started to watch a lot of other relatively new booktubers. And I think part of that is because I like to support, but I also like to, I think their content's good. And I feel like I can comment and they'll respond. When the channel gets too big, that sometimes it gets lost, which I can't blame those bigger channels. But I honestly really enjoy your channel. I watch literally every single video. There's a guy named Mark. He's an Englishman living in New Zealand. So two expats that I watch, I guess. And his channel is called Book Ramble. I watch pretty much every single one of his videos as well. Philip Chase is an Australian guy. A Poet Reads to Write is his channel, essentially, or his tag. And my brother, and then my brother's friend, his name is T, or he goes by T, and his channel is called An Erudite Adventure.
I've heard of that, yeah.
He's got, I think, 800-something subscribers or whatever. He's been doing it for a couple years, but I enjoy watching all of their content. In many ways, it feels more intimate when it's a smaller channel. And I get more invested in actually following the channel. But I don't do it just because out of pity or anything. I do it because I also enjoy the content. So all the channels I really enjoy are relatively small. My brother's is probably the biggest of those, and he's got like 2,000. So
yeah, fair. Yeah, no, I love watching new YouTubers as well for the same reasons. It's just now a problem of I don't have time to watch everything. It's like TBRs. It's TBWs, I guess. So yeah, I'm definitely branching out into the smaller ones a lot as well because they all have great things to say. Like you, I watch all of your videos; they're all excellent. It's tough. There's not enough time in the world, and I'm saying that as a essentially unemployed man. So.
Yo, that's pretty much me too, actually. Well, I have kids. I haven't got rid of those yet, but still. But yeah.
I have only one more question.
Okay, shoot.
And that's just, would you like to share like reading plans you have, maybe for the rest of the year or next year, whatever?
I actually kind of want to read Wind and Truth, which that wasn't the plan when I was starting to read Rhythm of War. And although Rhythm of War is probably my least favorite of the Stormlight archive still, I think I still kind of want to give Wind and Truth a try relatively early, like once it comes out in December, maybe if I can. But also, I'm a little excited because I started my series where I was like, try to go to a bookstore in every state.
Yeah.
And in a few days, I'm going to be in California. And so I should be doing another bookstore. And I have no idea what I'm going to grab, but I'm kind of interested to see what it is and see if it sucks and see how it goes. And then maybe doing another state or two before the end of the year if I can. I'm not banking on that, but
that is a cool idea, by the way. I wish I could do that, but it's nope.
Yeah, I figure because I mean, there's of course a few, I don't know what they call them in Iceland, regions or provinces or what have you, but there's just such a small population. I can't imagine you guys have much in the way of bookstores. So
nope, they're awful. They're few and awful.
It's tragic.
But Wind and Truth, I mean, it's a good time to read it because it's like the end of that arc, right? You know that, right? It's like a 5-book arc, so
yeah,
it's a pretty good time to read it. I'm like a third of the way through Rhythm of War, and it's fine. But I do really want to read Wind and Truth because it's going to be like everybody's going to be talking about it, so it's a good time to be like involved and get involved in the excitement.
Yeah, true enough. I mean, I guess I've never done that before as far as getting involved in like a Booktube darling or what have you. But
yeah, it's not necessarily that. It's just I like seeing people talk about stuff, and me being able to know what they're talking about is fun for me as well. Even if I'm just watching their videos and I'm like, I agree, or I know what you're talking about, that kind of stuff. And there's going to be a lot of content, so I think that's going to be fun.
Fair enough.
But for me, I just released my tag video today, as of this recording. So you can all find that there. Link in the description. La la la.
I watched it already.
So yeah, I'm kind of umming and ahhing between a few series, but otherwise I'm a mood reader. So we'll see. Yeah, but I really want to read what's it called, Book of the New Sun. I'm desperate to get to that.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to read it together or something, because that's one that like I've been aware of for a few years, but I'm definitely moving it up on the TBR list for now. So
yeah, I mean that would be cool, but you'll have to wait because I don't have time until like January or something.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I can wait if I have to. I've waited a few years already.
Yeah, fair. I'll leave that up to you.
I appreciate it. I had just one more question, and
awesome.
I don't know if you even want me to ask it, but that is, would you ever consider writing a book? Like, have you ever thought about it? And if you did, what would it be about? Or at least genre, maybe.
Yeah. So I had these like lofty thoughts that I wanted to write a book. And that was mostly during the pandemic when I had all the time in the world. And I was like really getting into reading. But not really. I mean, I don't know. It still would be cool, but maybe that's one of those like midlife crisis things that I'll do.
You hear that, Philip?
Well, he started as early because he wrote
I know.
18 years. So. I don't know. Yeah, I've thought about it, and I kind of want. It's such a typical answer. I'm kind of embarrassed to say it. It would be a fantasy book set in like an analogous India.
Oh, okay.
And kind of talking like based on British Empire, basically, and basically showing the dirtier side of the British Empire.
Fair enough. That'd be interesting.
Not just the glory of the British Empire, but the awful things they did.
Yeah, or at least contrast, even if it's not contrast within the same book, contrast compared to what a lot of the stuff out there.
Yeah, and also like involving the nuances of like what the British thought that they were doing, because they thought they were doing a good thing. So, and having that kind of moral ambiguity in there, and seeing how people can justify what they're doing. So that kind of stuff. But it's just a pipe dream, really. It's probably never going to happen.
Nah, don't say that. I'll pre-order it.
How about you? Are you writing something?
So I write like short stories. I've written maybe 4 ever, but 3 of them have been this year. So this year I've been a bit more active. I've had a bit more free time this year compared to normal, which has been kind of nice. So I had to figure out what to do with it. And so I've been writing a little bit, and I kind of have a novel that I wouldn't mind writing, but I'm not sure I am equipped to do it properly or do it justice in many ways. So we'll see, but it would be fantasy as well.
Okay, nice.
But I kind of already have like a world that I've made that I put a couple of short stories in, and it's not
Awesome.
It's not super like crazy. It's not like Roshar. It's more like, Middle Earth, stuff like that.
That's cool.
I just kind of figured I was thinking about doing something along the lines of like a character that is inspired by Maori culture, which is a New Zealand culture, but it's one I'm actually quite acquainted with it for no good reason except that I started to read a bunch of books on New Zealand during the pandemic, and I just I have a lot of information in there about the Maori culture than I probably should, considering I've never even stepped foot in New Zealand. But either way, that would I'm just a big fan of other like old stories. So I was thinking about doing some Maori thing, but making it more like a Robinson Crusoe-esque thing. So rather than the British sailor meets the indigenous guy on the island, it's the indigenous guy meets the sailor on the island or whatever. And so that's kind of just an idea I'm working on, but I don't know I don't write very fast, even when I do have time to write. So
would you include the is it called the haka? Is what it's called?
Yeah. So I don't know if I would. That's one thing, is like not only not a Kiwi, but I'm not Maori either. I don't want to be insensitive, and I don't know at what point would I be insensitive. So I think if anything, I would definitely need proof. I want to try to find a proofreader that is Maori.
Yes, for sure.
But it's not Maori. It's not going to be like a Maori character. It's going to be like Maori inspired. So there's some things I would change. Haka, I love the haka. I love watching it when the All Blacks play rugby and stuff like that. But that's something maybe that's a good thought. I've like kind of very roughly outlined like maybe the first part of maybe 2 or 3 parts of the book or something. So we'll see.
Nice, man. That's exciting.
Yeah, we'll see if it ever happens. My brother just came out with his first novella.
Okay.
And so it's kind of been making me think, that half-wit can write a book. I can write a book. Just kidding. He's not that stupid. I'm definitely more stupid than he is. But whatever.
I'll find out soon, because I'm going to check his channel out, and I'll let you know if he's a half-wit.
Okay. Well, you're the guy named Sam Not So Wise, so you're the expert.
Exactly. Yeah. Takes one to know one. Well, I think that'll do for now. So, Mr. Seanin from Seanin Shelf, thank you so much for joining me for this chat. Everybody who's watching, all 5 of you, please go and subscribe to his channel and comment on this video and comment on all his videos and get involved in our wonderful chats and take the piss out of us in the comments. I still haven't had any abuse. I'm still waiting for that. Have you?
I had one guy that was pretty nasty, but he wasn't like super just like straight up gunning for it. He was trying to play it smart and subtle, but I still caught on. Whatever.
The only thing I've had is I've got my stupid catchphrase, because I'm fucking hilarious, of with much further ado, because everybody says without further ado. I had someone in my comments say the phrase is actually without further ado. I was like, oh, thank you. I enjoyed that one. But yes, thank you so much for joining me, Seanin. This has been a nice chat. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to meet you as well.
All right, take care, everyone. Goodbye.
Adios.